It's hard to believe that this is the same field of strawberries behind me that you're going to see in this video. All right, here's our in-between winter storms farm vlog. We just got through a little winter storm. It wasn't bad. We had about 4 days where we'd start the mornings at about 30 to 32 degrees. And then the days would be kind of how it is today, about 48 to 50 degrees, which is a little unusual for us. But in about a week's time, we have more cold weather coming, staying as low as 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, not terrible, but a bit unnormal for us. And so today we've been uncovering the strawberries. We've had them covered up basically for a week. And so we're gonna uncover, we're gonna pick over the next couple of days, and then we're gonna cover the berries right back up. Now, one thing we did, even on some plants that aren't fruiting yet, we still uncovered. We got a few rain chances, air movement, sunlight, it's all good. All beneficial for these plants, even if they aren't fruiting. You know, some might say, well, let's save some labor cost and keep them covered. But I think there's more benefit to the plant by uncovering them, even if they're not fruiting. Let's get some fresh rainfall. Let's get some air movement. Let's get some sunlight. Although these shade cloths let in sunlight, they definitely block a little. So we're uncovering. Albeit it's still wet, we do like what we see underneath these cloths. A lot of ripe berries in here. We actually left these 2 rows uncovered, so I want to show y'all. Like, it was definitely a good decision that we covered. This is cold damage. You can see that looks pretty terrible. This is cold damage. It didn't freeze our crowns there, but the fruit that was on the plant, on any plant that was not covered, is damaged. So these row covers cover 5 rows at a time. So inevitably you're always going to have, 1 or 2 off rows. And so we always make the decision to leave those uncovered in each block. And it kind of lets us know, did we make a good decision covering? Not that we would change the decision, but it just kind of lets us know. Kind of lets us know, like, how hardy are the plants? How resilient are they? But we definitely made a good decision covering. You can see the frost damage on these 2 little rows is pretty significant. Would have been detrimental to not cover. Versus over here, rows that were covered, the fruit is just stunning. So this is really important to look at here. You can see the field is full of white blooms. And so these are blooms that were saved. I know that they're good because they're super lime green, and that tells us that bloom is viable. There's several rows over here that I'll show y'all real quick that were not covered, and I'll show y'all what a bad bloom looks like, or a bloom that has cold weather damage. So you can see this is a bloom that has cold weather damage. It's just completely dark in color. Doesn't look vibrant and pretty. And this was one of the rows that was not covered. These 2 rows were on the edge of the block, so they did not get covered. And again, just concreting the decision. It was a great decision to cover this round. We'll pick, and then we'll cover them right back up. Get ready for next week. So the entire field is uncovered, and we're allowing some of our customers to come out and pick some berries. And then we're picking some. We got some frost berries and some strawberries. Once we're done picking, we're just gonna cover again. All right, we're done picking. Here we go again. Gonna start covering. Pick some pretty berries today. Five rows at a time. One of the problems with strawberries and this unusual cold weather we're having is the way a strawberry ripens. And so Strawberries starts to ripen from the bottom, or like the tip of the berry up. So here's an example here. You can see it started down here and it's slowly but surely moving up. The problem when the weather gets really cold like this, how it's been the last week or so, is the bottom of this berry can become overripe before the top of the berry is allowed to ripen. So what does this mean? Well, first and foremost, it means that there might be occasions, whether it be on a farm or in your garden, where you have to pick a berry with green shoulders, as we would refer to it. A berry, definitely more ripe than this. This berry is not fully ripe on the bottom. But you might have to pick one with green shoulders for a risk that the base, or this point here, will go bad before the green shoulders ripen. So it's not ideal. We have come to manage it. Covering and uncovering helps, because if you can just warm it up just a little bit on the bed underneath those cloths, can help with that consistent ripening. But that's just one of the many problems with when it starts getting cold like this. Again, this doesn't happen to us every year. This is not necessarily a normal thing. It's not an abnormal, it's not uncommon, but it's also not common. It happens sometimes it doesn't. Another thing that we would have liked to see here is to get a little bit of rain on these plants uncovered. So we just got done picking. We would have really liked for these beds to get washed off, for the leaves to get washed off, but we have more cold weather coming, so we just don't have that luxury this time. We're gonna have to just cover and wait. So you might be wondering why these beds are so dirty. And that is because this cloth will accumulate mud. And then when we cover them and the wind starts to blow, they start to dry out. So that mud on the cloth dries out, and our soil is so sandy that it kind of just turns to dust and sand and coats the bed. It's about 52 degrees out here. And it is just hard to believe that in a couple days, it's going to be well below freezing, well below what our normal temperatures should be, and maybe even some snow. All right, it's wet. We're a couple days before it starts getting real cold. We got a little bit of the field covered. We're going to start pulling the covers over one row for everything that's not covered, and that'll help dry it out. Right when these cloths get wet, they're really hard to work with. So we're going to start pulling them over one row and let them dry all day. And then this afternoon and through tomorrow, finish covering the field. There's good news about this little winter storm. The good news is that it will get above freezing every day, which is really valuable. We only drop below freezing at night. Not great, but it's better than the alternative. It makes me think of 2021, the Valentine's Day freeze, where we were below freezing for about 48 hours. That's when it starts just getting detrimental. So, glass half full, I guess. So you can see these plants are covered, and then here we are, just pulling one or two rows over. And that'll help these dry today. It's supposed to be a nice clear day today. Sun hadn't quite peaked up. You can see the sun's rising right now. But we'll pull these over, let them dry for the next couple of hours, and then we'll get to covering. The good thing is that, we were short on time, so we didn't get to cover this part, and it got some rain on it. So yes, the cloths are heavy, but these were those real dirty rows. The rows that were covered in dust. And so they got cleaned off really nice. That's a plus. Before we get covered for a week, let's have one last berry. It could go another day or so, but still pretty good. So it's pretty cold today. Looks like it's going to start snowing here in the next couple of hours. We're just wrapping things up at the farm. We double checked all of the frost cloth tightened up the greenhouse, make sure everything was watered real heavily in the greenhouse, really important before something like this. Again, we kind of went through today and just kind of made sure all the sandbags are secured on these frost cloth, that there's no, like, sometimes like right here, there'll be little loose spots at the end and air can get up underneath there. And so this snow will help. So if it does start snowing, you know, it would kind of be more beneficial if it was a lot, and it would create like a little igloo over these things, which honestly would be nice. It's not going to be great for our greens and stuff, but we're more concerned about the strawberries. Right now, the plan, we're going to close our farm store for the next 2 days. Road conditions are going to be pretty icy. Again, very uncommon for our area. And we're just going to kind of hunker down, make sure all the critters are taken care of. Pigs are good, chickens are good. Just see what happens. Well, it's snowing. He just threw a snowball at me. It's really coming down. Well, this is officially the heaviest snow I've seen here in my entire life. Uncovering for the final time was not great. And in fact, I didn't even video it. We were so busy and just a little disappointed at how the plants looked coming out of it. We lost all of our blooms and of course, almost all the fruit. There was some fruit left over. The fruit that we did pick after the storms were actually really sweet, but it basically reset the clock for us, right? Now we were going to be at least a month out of any ripe fruit. But we did what we do best, and that is we farm strawberries. So the wind is really bad, but I'm gonna walk y'all around the field and show you what the crop looks like. And it's been about a month since the snow was sitting on this field. So these are our frost berries. See, we actually have a little bit of fruit ready in here. Lots of blooms. The plants look good. These are actually some of the larger plants in the field out of all of our varieties. Lots of green fruit though, which is what we like to see. These are Fronteras, and these are the ones I'm most impressed with in terms of them turning around. My grandpa used to say that berries that go through a winter storm will oftentimes come back later, but come back with vengeance. And I think that's what we're seeing here, right? With just a ton of fruit that's coming on in the field. I appreciate everybody watching, and I especially appreciate everyone who has come out to the farm in the recent weeks and picked tulips and picked strawberries. It means the world to us, to our family, to our employees. We thank everybody for their support. If you like what you watched, make sure you hit that subscribe button.